Hi guys, Mulos here. So today I am continuing the talking about AI, setting up an AI company in Zambia, some of the challenges, opportunities, and all the other problems and the likes that I'm facing in doing that. And like I mentioned in the first video, I'll be talking to people who are more knowledgeable about AI than I am. The aim of this series is not to act like I'm not an expert in this. I've just seen opportunities in the AI space, and I thought I would be talking to people who are more knowledgeable in this so that they could share their input, insights, and all. And then some of you out there may be interested in trying out your luck. Just bear in mind, guys, that AI is a once-in-a-generation opportunity where there's a convergence of a lot of things. And it's a nascent or a new technology that is going to create a lot of opportunities. It has got fewer restrictions or entry restrictions or barriers to entry than a lot of other things. So this is an opportunity that will come only once in a lifetime. Once the tech stacks are fully matured and developed, entry into these fields will be either more diluted or there will be some restrictions coming in. But anyways, I've talked too much. I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that I've faced and the update on how the project is going. And then also remember, guys, if you watch the first video, there is a .ai domain that I am trying to get, which costs $10,000. So there is a donation drive campaign, links in the description. But anyways, let me not waste much time. I've got my guest here. I've been friends with him a lifetime, basically half our life,
a decade, almost 2 decades.
Yeah, we've been friends for the longest. And anyway, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Vicente Mkangaza, and I'm a computer scientist by profession. I practice. I'm in full-time employment as a computer professional. And I'm an AI enthusiast, so I do a lot of exploring, and me and Mulos kind of found some common ground there, and that's why we're here.
Yes, and that's why we're making this content, because him and I, we are friends, we've been friends for the longest, and we are in constant contact, so we are always sharing ideas with each other, and he's tried a lot of things, I've tried a lot of things. Some of you out there could be wherever you are trying out things and believing that no one else is trying out what you're trying, and shelving some of your ideas and all these other things. So that's why we're going to be talking. So he's an AI enthusiast, I'm an AI enthusiast. I am in the finance space, SEMA, accounting. He's in the tech space, computer science, and he's also an AI enthusiast. So anyways, this is a free-flowing conversation. We haven't prepared anything. We're just going to have a discussion talking about AI. So I'll let you open.
All right, so exploring AI is very, very, very interesting. You never thought you could. Obviously, there are a few disclaimers on how far you can go and what you can research on. We've been looking at health conditions, anything from health conditions to weather and finance. A lot of knowledge is out there. Some of the knowledge is very technical, and it's very difficult for lay people to digest it and understand. I feel AI has helped a lot of people in that area. I can probably pick out a few pages from a balance sheet. I'm not a finance person. I can pick out a few pages from a report, maybe a balance sheet or an annual report, and not knowing how to interpret those details or that information myself, I can get AI to tell me what's going on and why it means what it means. So it's bringing a lot of information closer to the common man, and it's helping us understand what people from other professions do and why people behave the way they behave, ultimately how the world operates and how we interact. In a nutshell, I feel the common man can benefit from it, in that regard.
Okay, so what you said is very true, and there are a lot of disclaimers and terms and conditions, because if you watch AI, if you study AI a bit, there is some AI hallucination that goes on, because sometimes depending on the model, the LLM you're using or any of the other things, there is some AI hallucination. If it can't make sense of the data, it can create answers to suit your mood. So those answers sometimes are inaccurate. And so I use AI a lot for analyzing financial data and all. And a lot of times it has wrong answers. And then when I have to now input some changes into the parameters, it will say, oh yes, you're correct. And then it will make the corrections. So use AI to analyze your data, but always analyze the data with critically to look out for common mistakes, simple mistakes, or even complex mistakes. Anyways, we can. So, one of the things as an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know. Okay, we're both entrepreneurs.
We're both entrepreneurs.
He's in employment, but he's always looking for. He's a farmer, by the way. How many dairy cows do you have now?
I only have 14.
14 is a lot, guys.
Only?
He's saying 14 dairy cows. That's a lot of dairy cows, guys. I've got 0. I've got about 500 tamarind seedlings, but no cows. So he's got like 14 cows, and how many goats and sheep?
The goats are 40.
40 goats.
Yeah, and the sheep are 28.
28 sheep. So
yeah, so it's mixed farming. We've got a bit of cultivation going on as well. We've got some crops and vegetables.
All right. So have you thought of any AI tools you can use to aid your farming or improve your farming, improve your yields and all?
Yeah. So with farming. And this is something I'm still in the process of trying. I haven't got any results yet, but you have, for instance, there are different varieties of crops you can plant. Yeah. Different varieties of maize. If you're going to plant maize, different varieties of bananas, and all sorts of fruits. So I am exploring with the maize variety, a particular maize variety that I got, did a bit of research about it using AI, pulled up a bit of information and trying to see if I can get the right fertilizer to maize variety properly done. I mean, there's definitely a way I've been doing it in the past, and I've got a certain result. But now I want to see if I can probably have the pictures uploaded. I can have some sort of timeline from when I planted the maize, the type of fertilizer I applied, and I just want to see if uploading pictures of the crop as it grows, as it progresses, is going to give me any indication of whether I'm doing the right thing or not. So let's see how that goes. I'll probably share that if as it progresses. So it's in its infancy right now, just trying to see how it works out.
So that's the other thing, guys. What he has talked about is that as an entrepreneur, as an individual, as just a curious person, you always need to look out you need to think outside of the box. You need to look out for opportunities within your world. If you are someone growing cashew, like let's look at cashew for instance. My whole life I knew cashew as a poisonous fruit or nut that needs to be processed to remove the poisons and then extract the nuts and all. It's only now, because of watching too many YouTube videos, that there's actually cashew fruit. And then that cashew fruit can be eaten. And then in India, they actually make a very potent alcohol from the same cashew fruit. So, these are some of the things. You could be living anywhere in your neck of the woods, You grow a lot of cassava, you're looking for opportunities to what products and you can make from cassava, sweet potato, kandolo. Watching YouTube, I discovered that you can actually make noodles from cassava and kandolo, sweet potatoes. You can make bread from these things. You can make all manner of alcohols. I don't wish to say vodka, but you could make some sort of distilled alcohols from sweet potatoes and cassava. So AI, if you are someone with a curious mind and you don't have the technical training in that field, you could actually use AI to run a couple of ideas, scenarios, see what is really working for you and all, and how it can improve your lot, your life, your living, and your circumstances. And that's said, as an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, he's an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is about seizing opportunities. So a lot of times where we are, we look at things around us as, we don't look at them as opportunities, we look at them as problems. But reality is that all problems create opportunity to solve those problems. So you look at garbage. Garbage, we want to just get the garbage and go and dump it in a poorer part of town. People will say, no, garbage sites, dump sites and all, but those are poorer parts of town. They just dump there, the garbage heaps will accumulate and grow. There'll be a lot of fumes coming out, flammable gases and all. But those are opportunities to recycle that garbage, incinerate that garbage, generate electricity, generate byproducts and all. And then, sometimes before you want to go and approach the authorities, maybe the councils, the government, and all these other things, you can use AI to curate your research or your ideas, and then refine your ideas, look for viable options in your ideas and all. Entrepreneurship is about analyzing, finding problems, looking for solutions to those problems, and then looking for ways to monetize the solutions to those problems. I may contradict myself because not all problems need to be monetized. Certain problems need to be solved as a collective, under the government or under some sort of collective, because, fighting cancer. Imagine cancer is cancer and a lot of debilitating illnesses. They are potential money spinners for people who are going to be treating them. And then you don't want to go bankrupt treating your life altering illness, because so sometimes you don't need to look for ways of monetizing solutions. You need to look for ways of collectivizing the solutions to the problems. Anyways, I have digressed here. Your views on entrepreneurship using AI as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'll just pick up from the statement I made earlier about identifying opportunities. You might be able to, you may never have been able to identify or understand what a balance sheet or a financial report or statement looks like. That could have been the hurdle you had in moving your idea into production. From the technical space, from the computer space, from the IT space, there are a lot of ideas people might have, and I know some of these ideas require a technical solution, might require an app or a website or system to be developed. With AI, there are a lot of prototypes out there. I can mention a few. Lovable is one of them. Bolt is another, where non-technical people could give a simple explanation of what idea or what solution they have for a problem. Type it in, it could be a single line. It doesn't end with just one single line where you have one single line can give you a full system. That's rarely the case. It could happen, but it's rarely the case. You're going to have to keep on refining it. I know there's been a lot of talk about how AI could steal people's jobs and make them redundant. I am of the view that AI is going to help us understand a wider variety, or it's going to help us understand our application in the ecosystem. Look at it this way. If you have, if we were legs of a table, you and me, I'm one leg and you're another leg. There should be two other legs and a tabletop to make a full table. What AI is going to help this table leg understand is that my job is to be one piece of an entire structure. So if you're going to start a business, for instance, you can have AI help you with understanding the financial part or understand the marketing part, which you don't have that much knowledge on. It might help you understanding the engineering part if you wanted to do some sort of a structural solution for whatever you've got. So entrepreneurship in that regard will give you an overview and probably even give you a few projections that can help you guide your implementation and help you come up with a plan and probably even a monitoring strategy to see if your plan is going according to what you decided to do.
All right. So just talking about what you have said, AI, in terms of AI stealing your jobs, it's true and false at the same time. Certain jobs are safe, especially those jobs that involve a lot of using your hands and lower tech jobs, like farming. No matter how technical farming gets, a farmer still needs to be there. It can't all be automated. A robot just coming and planting. There are certain things, like as you've lived on Earth for a long time, the weather report will say there's no sign of rain, whatever chance of rain today and stuff like that. But you'll find that there's one grandmother you have or grandfather who just wake up and say, oh, my elbow is paining, it's going to rain. And then you all disbelieve him, and then later on it starts raining. So there are those things that certain things that cannot be taught to AI models. There are things that are just passed on generation to generation, instinctive knowledge and knowledge born from observing a lot of unconnected things and all. Then also in terms of stealing the jobs, AI has made my job a little bit easier. It's made it a little bit more difficult and a little bit easier. Easier that I'm able to analyze and sort data faster. I'm able to create my own models for analyzing and creating my own reports and the likes. And this is one of the reasons I created the company, because I saw that, okay, I've created solutions to problems that I was facing. Is there a way I can monetize this, create some apps, some programs, some systems, a website, and all that can generate some income? So that's my thoughts. So AI is a tool that can improve your work, your lot, and all. It won't necessarily steal your job. If your job can be stolen by AI, it means that possibly your job is one which, due to factors which were probably there, not supposed to be there in the first place, or they were not supposed to be as many in the first place. And then also coming to what he's talking about, I have done some vibe coding. So my website, I used AI to generate it and create it. And then I also created a formula, a calculator using AI. And it taught me one very simple thing, that vibe coding is good, but you need actual human coders. There are certain things that an experienced coder can tell you that this is wrong, it won't work, you need to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And then there are other certain things. You talk to actual human coders, and then they won't grasp your vision. You tell them, I want my site to look like this, I want things to be like that. And then they will try to discourage you from your vision because to them it doesn't make sense, it can't be done. But when you try it on AI using your vibe coding, it can be done with errors, and then you need to call the actual humans to come in and rectify it. But then because it's done by AI, there are a lot of hidden parameters that they fail to actually decode. And then you on one hand, your vision has been brought to life. On the other hand, it's unusable because the basics, you don't understand the basics and it hasn't captured the basics and all. So That is something that I observed. Then now we're talking about creating your own AI models or your own AI products and services.
Yeah, so I think ultimately that's where this is all going to lead to, and that's what we should be driving AI towards. I'll again pick up from where you mentioned and talked about the jobs being stolen by AI. One application and one thing I have observed is, even if you're going to use AI to vibe code your website, right? You know, websites and coding have syntax to them, and there are, in some cases, there are policies and guidelines to the entire product. I'll give an example. You can't have AI, well, maybe not yet, but right now you can't have AI represent you in court, for instance. You know what I mean, right? You can't have AI represent you in court. You know, you can't have AI perform a surgery, for instance. But let's say you did want to go into court, and I'm not a lawyer. I stand to be corrected. I would really love to get some comments about this by some lawyer. I'd really love to get some comments. So put your comments put your responses in the comment section. I would love to find out. Let's say if I had a case and I was going to court, I would love to find out what my chances were about the case before I go face the judge, right? Yeah, and I'm definitely going to have a discussion with my lawyer before the case. But let's say I did look at the case and uploaded my status onto AI and loaded a few past similar cases, and probably also made reference to the Zambian law, because we're in Zambia. In this particular case, it's Zambian law. I'd probably get a response that would let me know what my chances are and what a strategy would be. But also, it depends on what part and how much of that law and what version of that law I upload. Yeah. So I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot fire my lawyer because of that. I'll still need the lawyer to make sure I got the right references to come up with a position. And because of that, I don't think AI is going to steal anyone's job, because we still need human beings to set the boundaries, to set the limits, to set the parameters, and because only then, with the continuous involvement of human beings, continuous involvement of professionals, we are going to get an improved version. And improvement is continuous. It's ongoing, and there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah. So talking about what I say, the other aspect is medical. So I'm sure all of us have tried to ask AI. We input our symptoms
several times,
and then AI gives us like some crazy diagnosis, and then you're like, you want to write your will. You want to. Remember that movie with Queen Latifah? You want to travel to Brazil, for your last days, and then you just discover you had a flu. There was a very, very bad bug that was going around. So AI has got its limits, guys. Okay, in certain jobs, certain fields, you can just use AI to do some basic research, and like you say, try to find out your odds in a case. Try to find what the possible ailments you could have based on your symptoms and things like that. Then also, a lot of other things. I worked in a bank for a long time, and as tech was improving, there were talks that there were going to be jobs lost in the banking sector. But then every year, the number of jobs was going up. When ATMs were coming in, people would say there would be fewer tellers and stuff like that. Technically, there were a fewer tellers, but then in reality, the extra data coming out, people using ATMs, doing mobile money to bank, all these electronic transactions, it creates new problems that require new employment drives, because people have to reconcile the transactions that are being done. And then even when tech is doing the reconciliations, there are still people who have to analyze, view, sort, and look at the data and then sign off on it. So a lot of jobs will be lost, a lot of jobs will be created, because who are going to manage all the data centers, checking on cabling and stuff. And then as you've got more data centers coming up, the heat that they're generating will require people who are skilled with cooling buildings, coolants and stuff like that. And then as the heat is being generated, it could attract a lot of wildlife, a lot of animals, a lot of plants, a lot of other things. And then as the wastewater is being disposed of, the heated water, you have, environmental degradation and stuff like that. So you need people, you need handy, so each data center will probably kill a lot of jobs and then create a lot of jobs just to maintain them and keep them going. And then if you've ever driven, any movable part is likely to break down compared to a fixed part. So all the robots and all the tech, which is humming, which is operating, there's degradation over the time, and then there will always be need for people to replace servers, replace GPUs, replace the hardware basically. And then, anyways, that's a topic for another day. Anyways, all right. So I think let me hand over to Vicente here, and he'll talk about AI, his worldview on AI, and any other insights and all. And by the way, guys, if you have enjoyed this, do give it a thumbs up, and especially leave us comments. And then also let me know if you want Vicente back. If you have got questions for him and I need to bring him back to answer them, let me know in the comment section. And then another thing, guys, Africa is not a country. We are both Zambians in Zambia. But Africa is a country. The problems and challenges and opportunities we have in Zambia can be extrapolated and done across the continent. Maybe some countries will have it, someone in a country like Central African Republic, maybe they'll have less energy than we do in terms of power, but they'll still face some of the same problems we do. Some other countries, you find that they'll have energy issues and information gaps here and there and other issues. And then to top it off, there'll be an insurgency in their country, there'll be some security risks and the likes. So, there are all these other things. And then even when we talk about security issues, can AI actually be used to make insecure countries more secure? Because you look at some countries where they have a lot of facial recognition, they're able to track and monitor who is moving in and out of areas and stuff like that. It does bring us to a dystopian Big Brother society type thing, but we need to find ways to use technology to better our lot and lives as Africans, and then it's better us Africans are the ones coming up with some of these solutions and all, because some of the people with the means to help us have their own distorted worldview of us. So they'll come here with a messiah complex, and then you find that they won't actually help us. They'll make our lives more difficult. So we need more Africans to offer solutions that are humane, that factor us in, and that sort of help us out without putting us deeper in shit. Anyways, I've digressed a bit. Vicente, over to you.
Yeah, so my view of AI in the African context, I feel AI is probably an upgrade of the internet. At the time the internet was introduced to us, obviously we used it for our entertainment, but we also have some productivity on it. You can have your online games, your online movies for entertainment. On the other end, you can have online systems that can help you with your spreadsheets or help you with your weather. If you're a farmer, help you with information on different breeds of cattle, how to determine how to manage them. There are websites for mechanics to help you on motor vehicles. So I know for a fact that AI is accessible to everyone at the moment. We've seen websites, the Google website and the browsers as well have our AI enabled now, and this helps us to look for information, amalgamate it from different sites and bring it together, summarize it for us, and you can even, with AI, have information presented to you in a certain way. I mean, here's an example. For instance, you can go ahead and ask AI, what is the weather forecast for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And it's going to give you a detailed explanation of what's going to happen in terms of weather in the next 3 weeks. But let's say if you say, let me know what the weather forecast and explain it to me in only one paragraph. And it will present the information the way you like it. I had quite often I ride with my kids in the car, and they'll ask me questions and say, hey, Daddy, what was there before the dinosaurs? All right. Now with AI, you can't say, I don't know. Now with AI, you can go ahead and ask the question, what was there before the dinosaurs? And there'll be an explanation. And this is one thing I tried out as well. I asked my son, he's only 10 years old. I said, all right, ask the same question and append the statement, explain it to a 10-year-old. The tone changes, the structure changes, and the information is pretty much the same, but now it's packaged for a particular age bracket or age group. So I kind of feel that for all of us, let's say if you're going to have your AI system implemented, you can actually contextualize it for a certain environment. Another example is your education, right? If you're going to explain a fraction like a third, 1/3, you're going to explain it to a European and say, hey, you can cut your pizza into 3 parts, and that's 1/3. But here in Zambia, not everyone knows what pizza is, right? So
you've got a mango. How do you split? Yeah, how do you split it in 3?
In 3. How do you split the mango in 3 and all that? So here you can structure your lesson, right? And you can ask AI to contextualize the same lesson, but for different environments. So you're going to have the same lesson different, and you're going to expect the understanding and the lesson to be delivered, but because it's contextualized to a particular environment, you have been able to manipulate the lesson to package it to its intended audience. So in a nutshell, that is my view of AI. I feel it's really up to us to firstly take time to understand it, and secondly, when we do understand it, we'll be able to utilize it and make it useful to everybody, ourselves and people around us.
Okay, and then also note, guys, that AI can be racist. So depending on what the model has been trained on, if you look at the worldview of Africa, I mean, basically, we've not really thought about how life was pre-colonial days. We just taught a lot of simplified histories and all. But those people there they basically had their own sciences and their own tech. Basically, they were able to domesticate animals, they were able to grow certain types of foods, they were able to build their accommodation to resist the weather in whichever harsh environment they're in. They were able to have systems and laws, systems, and all cultures in place. So now, if the AI model is trained on some racist, colonialist documentation and all, you will not get the good answers. Like if you had to ask AI, how was life in Africa before the white man came? It could give you some racist answers and all, which are distorted from reality. But then you also have places like dinosaurs where, these things have been studied extensively in neutral manner, because no one is racist against dinosaurs. They're just like, oh, dinosaurs are beautiful. T-Rex, all these other, the raptors, all these other things. And, they were studying them in a sort of neutral manner. But whereas when they're studying the history of the black man, there's a lot of racist historical documents and source material that could influence the AI model and all. So this is why when you're having a heated online argument, on places like Twitter, X, Facebook, and all these things, and then you ask Grok for Grok's input into the argument, you could get totally distorted, wrong answers and all. So in as much as you're going to use AI for problem solving, try to remember that AI has got limitations, and then AI could have biased worldview. I know it's supposed to be a neutral tech, but it could have a very, very biased worldview and all. Anyway, back to...
Yeah, so just on that, Malonda, I think we can look at AI in two particular ways. Firstly, as a source of information, which is exactly what a lot of us are doing now. And because the language models have to be trained with information to give us an output, like you said, and I think what we've discussed previously is that we can contextualize and give the AI predefined limits and predefined information to make reference from and draw answers from that. I gave an example about the legal case where, hey, you're probably referencing laws pre-1940s and think that will help you now. That won't help you now because they've definitely and obviously been changes since then. So you have to make sure you direct it the right way. So AI, for the information bit of it, yes, we've still got a long way to go because I feel there's vast information, and on a daily basis there's far much more information that we're being exposed to, and we need to ensure that if we're going to use it for AI, we need to take responsibility to ensure we know where that information is coming from, and we're going to use that information responsibly. The second aspect of AI is this. We need to understand that these are language models and they need to be trained. One thing, and I feel this is the next step of AI that people need to spend more time on, is using these language models and train them and use them for what they need them to be used for. So ensure that you can collect information from the places or locations that can give you accurate information, and use that information to train your AI, because you definitely need to ensure that information is coming from the right place. I'll give you an example. If you're going to teach trigonometry to students, right, you need to ensure you've got the right syllabus and the right curriculum you're referencing from to have a calculus or a trigonometry lesson delivered. So yes, you can assume whoever is presenting that AI information to you got got the syllabus and the curriculum from the place you needed to come from. But let's say without your knowledge, they use 1923 curriculum and a syllabus, not Zambian, but from Egypt or something, or Russia or something like that, yeah. And we're just going to walk in and say, hey, listen, teach me. You might not get the results you want. Yeah. So I hope we keep that in mind when we're using AI, because that's what it is. That's basically what it is. These languages need to be taught. And if you listen to most people that talk about AI, they have to continuously be learning. They have to continuously be learning, continuously feeding them information, and they will keep on improving because of that.
All right, so this, I think, can possibly go on forever. So guys, definitely, if you've reached this far, please leave us, ask your questions in the comment section. Vicente will be back because we've just touched the surface. So we need to know what exactly you want us to talk about, because at the end of the day, we are not experts in this. We're just people who are trying to work on our own AI models, AI products, AI services, and get our things out there. And then we want to, at the same time, help others who may be stuck, need information, or just want to share, run ideas with each other. So here we've talked about the basics, basically, on our understanding of AI, our views on AI. We haven't touched on some other serious topics, which is which tech stack are you going to go for? So I don't know if they'll come next time. We talk about there's the US tech stack, and then there's the Chinese tech stack. Then why are there two tech stacks? Because the US has tried to limit or curtail China's AI development, and so the Chinese have been forced to develop their own models, their own tech stacks. So which one should you go for? Should you go for the US ones, or should you go for the Chinese? And then when you look at these things, the US model, US business models, they are very irrational. They don't actually aim to make money. They aim to grow shareholder value. So they're looking at the stock price, share price, they're looking at the valuation of the business. So they can churn out free products and services, which may be great, but they are free to a point. They're free so that people sign up and use them, and then at some point in time, when enough people have been using them for a while, they're going to monetize them and charge you an arm and a leg to use them, or just a basic subscription model so that you can use them. Even what you talked about, you look at browsers having AI tools there, your spreadsheets, your word processing, Word having the Microsoft CoPilot and these other things. So you find that they are putting the AI tools there so that you sort of get used to using them. You forget how to use those tools without the AI tools. And then eventually, when the pricing model comes up and they say, if you want to use this tool any further, you need to pay $10, $50, $100, $1,000. You are forced to pay for those things. So, so AI tools at some point need to be used sparingly so that you don't find yourself blackmailed into subscribing at some future point in time. And then also, so the American models, they are sometimes senseless in the way they're implemented, because the companies are spending hundreds of billions of dollars with a plan to recoup those investments down the line. So some of them can even just go bankrupt and disappear. They won't really mind. They've done what they need to do. Then you look at the Chinese tech stacks, which are a little bit more grounded in reality. And then the Chinese are able to create models and tech that work better in an environment like Zambia. So, Zambia is basically a third world country. What your definition of third world is, whether it's a poor country or it's a non-aligned country, it depends on which books you read growing up. But Zambia is a third world country, whether you look at it as a non-aligned country or a poor country. It's a third world country, so some of the infrastructure isn't suited for European-style tech and American-style tech. It's more suited for Chinese-style tech, Indian-style tech, sometimes even Japanese-style tech. So when you're looking at the tech stacks, which one you're going to run with, we need to talk about that. Are you going to go the US one, which the US tends to sanction most of the world. At some point in time, you will find yourself with restrictions. If your clients are Chinese and they're using US tech, at some point in time, if your clients get sanctioned, it means that you can't use your tech that you've paid for to service your paying clients from China. And then if you're using Chinese tech stacks, at some point in time, the US could try to sanction them, and then you now can't use your Chinese tech stacks to service Western, European or American clients who could be paying you very, very good money. So this will be a topic for a whole day or a whole hour or so, but those are something that we need to talk about. And then, all that said, guys, this series is also talking about the growth of my business. So like I said, we're looking for $10,000 to raise $10,000 to get an .ai domain, which is perfect for our brand, our business, and our model. And it's very, very great. If you want to contribute, donate, or chip in, links in the description. That said, now let me give an update on the business that I've registered. So one, the company got registered. The registration got delayed because, like I said, getting a name approved in Zambia can be a pain in the rear end. And the names that I suggested got rejected. And then in the end, I settled for something which, from one of my favorite sci-fi series, and it got approved. That one was done. Then the next stage is tax registration. So my tax registration got a little bit delayed because the system was down, so it didn't automatically get registered. We had to manually register the TIPIN, taxpayer identification number. It took just a few hours. We submitted during the day. By end of day, it was done. So tax registration done. We are currently sitting on income tax, and that's the tax that we're given. It's a better tax, and we also need to register for VAT. So VAT does have it comes with a cost. The pros and cons of VAT. The pros are that the costs that we're going to be incurring now developing our system and if they have VAT input, the VAT input tax, we can claim it back simply by being VAT registered. And then once we start doing VAT sales, we will have to be charging VAT and paying that to the tax authorities. So there is a bit of a tax benefit being VAT registered even before you start doing your sales. So we are registered for IT, then we're going to get registered for VAT. We can't get registered for VAT now because we don't have a bank account yet. So now, coming to the bank accounts, we are opening bank accounts with 4 different banks. So I know people will say, but that's too many banks and all. What you need to know and understand is that banks do or provide the same service differently. And that difference in how they provide the service is why we are going with different banks. So one bank is very good for incoming wire transfers. We will intend to be selling our products and services to foreign clientele. So some of them will be wiring funds to us. And then some banks do not charge for incoming wire transfers. Other banks use straight-through processing or STP. So when the funds are wired, we'll receive them faster here without additional charges. And then some of our clients we are negotiating with are in Zimbabwe, Malawi, Democratic Republic of Congo. And these are all bordering countries, and they all have problems or challenges in paying wire transfers. So we will most likely have our clients crossing the border, depositing US dollar cash into our accounts. So some of the banks are better suited for dollar cash deposits. And then now when it comes to dollar cash deposits, some banks accept basically all notes. Some banks are very, very picky. They want only mint condition notes. And then some banks, they'll accept anything. So that's something that we have to factor in. And the next thing is some banks are very good at NFS transfers. We're going to be making a lot of NFS on, that is the National Financial Switch. So those are near instant transfers that are done in Zambia, or instant transfers done in Zambia to mobile money, banks, and all manner of other fintech. So we need to make a lot of those. Some banks are better at that. Then we also have some banks better at RTGS transactions, which are the higher volume, fast real-time gross settlement transactions. So that's something else. And then also Forex accounts transfers. You know, some banks do not allow Forex transacting after the 3 p.m. cutoff time. Other banks you can transact 24/7. So there are all these variables that we have to consider. So that's why we're going with 4 different banks, so that we get the best of, you can't say both worlds, but the best of 4 worlds in this case. Then once the bank accounts are opened, or one of the bank accounts is open, we can then also register our VAT. And the next thing is in terms of statutory compliance. So as of right now, we're registered for PACRA, which at the end of December, which is this month, we then have to file an annual return on 1st January. So when you register a company, go with 31st December as your financial year end. It makes life a whole lot easier. You may spend more money because your financial year end could be a month and a half after you've registered your company, but it's better than having an awkward date, financial year end. Then when it comes to ZRA, our tax clearance expires this month and 31st December. So 1st January, we are going to file and get a new tax clearance certificate, and that's okay. Then as long as we're filing our income tax returns and VAT returns, we are going to be able to maintain our tax clearance. Then the ZPPA. So we are tenderpreneurs. We are set up to take part in tenders for government, quasi-government organizations, parastatals, and all those, including private businesses that do advertise their jobs on the ZPPA portal, which is the Zambia Public Procurement. Is it authority or agency?
Authority, I think.
Okay, so this A, the A is really get us. Anyway, so ZPPA is where the public tenders are done, and then businesses that qualify can be able to bid for those works. So we are tenderpreneurs. We're going to be taking part in this. There is no shame in being tenderpreneurs. There is shame in being a tenderpreneur who does not deliver the products and services they're paid for. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they are all tenderpreneurs. They compete for the same government tenders. Wherever you go in the world, governments are the biggest procurers of goods and services in their countries. So there's no shame in being a tenderpreneur, and I hope to become a tenderpreneur, and we'll use this tech company for that. So we haven't taken part in any tenders yet. Once we get a few, we won't mention which ones we'll get, but once we get a few, we'll update and talk about that. Then next, we're talking about workers' compensation. This one we're actually going to register on 1st January. Reason being, a lot of businesses, like if you want to be a supplier to the mines or government, they'll want you to have a workers' compensation clearance certificate. So in as much as we don't actually have employees, we'll have to get that just so that we can be compliant and be able to supply certain organizations and all. Workers' compensation sometimes does have a problem in that they want you to be registered when the company gets registered and not when you're actually starting business. And the next one is NAPSA, which is National Pension Scheme Authority. And then NAPSA is the National Social Security. We're getting it because a lot of government and quasi-government and big businesses want you to be NAPSA compliant in order to get business for them. So that's why we are going to be registered for that. And the next one is NEMA, which is National Health Insurance, National Health Insurance Management Authority or agency?
I think it's authority.
Authority. All right. The A is really, I think we need to pass laws that all these acronyms should not end in A. Or if they end in A, it should be mandatory to be agency or authority, nothing else. So please. Anyway, so NEMA, I love NEMA because NEMA does add liquidity to the health sector in Zambia. So it's mandatory to have, and this is one where we'll be taking pride in being NEMA registered and compliant because we want to help boost Zambian health systems and all. So apart from all of these, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 government agencies that we need to be compliant with. There are 2 more that we need to register and be compliant with to be able to take part in the tech space. The first one is ZICTA, which is Zambia Information Communication
Authority.
Now the T is what? Technology. Zambia Information Communication Technology Authority. Authority? Yes. So ZICTA, you need to have a ZICTA dealer's license to deal in certain tech products and services. So we need to register for that. And that's going to be number 7 that we need to get. Then number 8 is ICTAS. ICTAS, I will not even pretend to know what it stands for.
Well.
All right.
Information and Communication Technology Association of Zambia.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got it on good authority.
Yeah.
So ICTAS is a mandatory that you need to be an ICTAS member.
Affiliation.
You need to have that affiliation in order to take part in some of these things. So there are basically going to be 8 different statutory bodies that we need to be compliant with. So why do I mention all this? Because a lot of times when people are creating their businesses, they forget about the basics, which is get your statutory compliance right. When you start a business, get right with the statutory compliance and get right with the taxman, because the taxes are the one that can kill your business if you don't plan for it. So what type of taxes are they going to be? So in this case here, we need to deal with a lot of local and foreign consultants to get our AI products and services out. So when you're dealing with local consultants, you need to withhold 15% of their pay and pay to the taxman and pay them 85% net. Then if it's a foreign consultant, you need to withhold 20% withholding tax and pay them net 80%. Depending on who your tax advisors are as a consultant, you can either claim back that money or be exempt from having your funds withheld and all these other things. Topic for another day. But if you're going to be doing an AI service in Zambia or a tech service in Zambia and engaging a lot of foreign consultants, you need to factor that in. The next one is VAT. So local suppliers are going to have VAT and you'll be paying 16% VAT. Foreign service providers, depending on the type nature of the service, you will have to add on 16% reverse VAT and pay to the taxman. So the reverse VAT is something that you think is excessive until you look at the practical use of reverse VAT. A local supplier is being charged or is charging 16% VAT. The foreign supplier is not. So adding reverse VAT of 16% means that they are level like this. There's no economic advantage of using a foreign service provider when you've got a local service provider who is competing on price. And then also, depending on who your tax advisors are, if you are filing the reverse VAT on your own, it's not claimable. If you're using a tax advisor or a tax agent, the reverse VAT is claimable as input VAT. So that's something you also need to factor in. Then also, if you're going to register for workers' compensation, NAPSA and NEMA, it means that you are reporting that you have a worker. Whether or not you have a worker, because a lot of times you register for these things and you don't have a worker, but you have to register for them to get the compliance certificates. So now what happens is that you need to register for pay as you earn, because technically you have a worker. So you have to be in sync. Whatever you have reported, the salary for workers' compensation, NAPS and NEMA, it's the same salary you have to report for pay as you earn. And then pay as you earn, there's a pay as you earn threshold, which means you won't be paying pay as you earn if your salary is on or below that threshold. But there's a skills development levy, which is 0.5%, which has to be paid. That's why you need to really get your tax affairs in order before you start your business. And if you're going to register for all these other statutory bodies, make sure that you are in sync. Imagine one day workers' compensation, NAPSA, NEMA, and ZRA get together using some AI model that we are going to develop, and then they are able to check and compare that these companies have employees reported on only 1 and not 4. You can be able to now find yourself in problems. So that's something that AI is going to be able to do very, very soon. It's going to catch non-compliant people faster, businesses and people faster. And it's something that we are going to try to help develop, if possible. Yeah, so now I think that is about it. Oh yes, so now we're also talking about this. I know a lot of people, some queries have come in. Mr. Muros, we are interested in partnering with you and all. So just in case you actually are serious, so the company is registered and we've got 20,000 share capital, 20,000 shares. Of these 20,000, only 200 shares are allotted. So we've got 19,800 shares remaining to be allotted. So in case you are a serious investor and you say you really do want to partner with me, there are 19,800 shares available. Obviously, I've watched a lot of movies and series where there are hostile takeovers and all these other things. So I will protect my interest and all. Then also some people have said, Mr. Moros, I would like to come work for you as a foreign national because I don't want to work as a consultant. I want to travel, experience Zambia and all that stuff. So now you are there. You are somebody trying out what I'm talking about, and then you need to bring in foreign workers. So there's what they call an employment permit in Zambia. It's relatively easy and straightforward to get. You just have to pay the amount, ensure that the person has got a skill that is in short supply in Zambia, and then there's also going to be a skills transfer taking place so that they can train locals to do the work over time. So it is possible to hire foreign workers. You just need to pay the employment permit. It's renewable every 2 years or so, and other factors like that. Then also for the ones who want to come in as investors, you can get an investment permit. You need to have a certain amount of money that you're coming to invest in, and all these other things. So that is that. Then remember, guys, we are looking for $10,000 for the .ai domain. Donation links in the description. Let's get that domain. Let's get things kickstarted. So in case you've got any questions for me, Vicente, or the future guests we're having coming in, hit us up in the comment section. In case you have enjoyed this video and you want Vicente back and you want to ask more questions that you want him to answer, let me know in the comment section. But in the meantime, let me just hand over to Vicente. I think I've overtalked.
Well, yeah, so I mean, it's been a great discussion. We're looking forward to your comments and getting back to you. Remember, it was pretty much scratching the surface. There's so much more to talk about. There's the different language models to talk about, the different applications. We kind of spend a bit of time on the production side, productive and information acquiring side. We didn't say much about the entertainment, where you could generate images or generate music, generate speech. You know, there's so many other models that work differently. So if we had the whole day, we'll probably have to do it. And even we don't know all that information. So there'll be other people who get in to come and talk about this exciting industry that we're in now. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you soon.
And remember, we're talking as Africans in Africa. So I know someone could watch from the US, Europe, China and all that, and you'll be like, oh, we don't have some of these challenges you do. But at the end of the day, as if you're an entrepreneur, guys, you look for opportunities that you can seize down the line. This is what happens when people come from certain corners of the globe into Africa. They look at us as people who they have come to save. And then when some people from other parts of the world come to Africa, they look and they see people who can buy their products and services, and they start selling to us, they make their money and all. Whether it's exploitative or not, at the end of the day, they look at us as human versus, someone coming to say, this is the person that needs saving. You don't actually look at what they actually want to do. Some say, teach a man to fish. You find someone living by a river and then you be like, teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. What if that guy is allergic to fish, doesn't want to do anything to do with fish, he can't swim? Ask the person what they want to do. Like, what do you want to do, my brother, by the shores? Do you want to fish? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be something? Not everybody wants to fish. So teaching them to fish, you think you have done good, but you just messed up somebody's life because now they are forced to fish when fishing is the last thing that they want to do. I've probably digressed. I've probably strayed off the righteous path of talking about AI and all. There's a lot of opportunity in AI, and I'm going to try to see some of that opportunity. Vicente is going to try to see some of that opportunity, whether at the farm where he's running, or whether at work to make his work simpler, or anywhere. Let us know in the comment section, guys. And thanks for watching to the end here. We'll see you in the next video. And also give it a thumbs up if you want to see a follow-up video, because next we do have, there's somebody I'm trying to get to come through, a female. She's a lady who very much into tech and very much passionate about AI. I need to talk to her to come on. And I've got other friends who really work with AI and all. So there'll be a lot of people. And then also, I know a lot of diverse, interesting people. So in case you want me to just bring in the most neutral people who I don't actually know so that we can talk in the most neutral ways, let me know in the comment section. Only by you commenting and letting us know will we know what you want. Thanks and bye.
Bye.